I met Kitty, I think in 1971. I've been mulling a lot of this stuff over in my head and, on the way down here and in the last few days.
Old timer.
Yeah, Gray. But I met her there, and we've led, in many ways, led parallel lives in a lot of different respects. We were both equally self-destructive, both equally passionate about music. In fact, a lot of people have mentioned music here, and I think Kitty was probably one of the first people to really let me know what it was like to be a Southerner, really, as far as her being steeped in Texas and just loving everything about the South, and particularly Texas. And it was definitely different. I'm not sure exactly what brought her up here, but I suspect, and there's a few people here that might be able to help me on that Dow Chemical up in Midland had a big bunch of stuff going on in Texas and also up in Midland. And I met a number of people that were from Texas when they, transferred their parents up north to Midland from I don't know, was it Houston or wherever it was? Either way, that's culture shock. When I met her here in Lansing, and we ended up together in Grand Rapids for a long time as well. And actually, when I moved back here to Lansing in the late 70s, she came back here too, and we were just seemed to be the shadow of one another. And I think if there's anyone that I've ever had that is, other than my own younger sister, that's ever been like a big sister to me, it would be Kitty. We both got pretty bad into drugs, as a lot of you know. On the same month, in March of 1987, I went into detox in a hospital, and she went under the knife for a heart valve to get it replaced because it was all infected from IV drugs. Endocarditis, exactly. And we both, she struggled out there for a while after that, and I stayed clean, but we never got apart during that time. And Kitty was always one that could the kind of friend that could look at you and say something really critical of you and very blunt, but you knew that she still loved you, and she could just take the mirror and put it right up to you. And I have very few friends in this life that I can tell you that that's true, where they still love you, though they're criticizing you and they're telling you where you're at, and it's that kind of thing is very rare. Yeah, we had the Vomit Pigs. She's a great singer and a great front person. Always no shortage of enthusiasm. Always a full participant in the decision-making process, whatever that was. There are a lot of stories that I could tell in this crowd, and a number of stories that I choose not to. One of the ones I want to choose is I'm looking outside here, and in 1980 or so, maybe 79 or something, a day just like this, but maybe more snow on the ground, probably colder and a little windier. I was living in East Lansing at some house there, and Kitty shows up in her blue Volkswagen and says, "Hey, George Jones is playing down in Detroit. Let's go." Well, we pooled our money together. We bought a bottle of whiskey. I think we had $40, and we headed down there about this time with about an hour of light left. And the car didn't run very well, but we were going to go see George Jones. And we had a bottle of booze, and we drank the whole thing on the way down. We didn't have any tickets. We got to the bar. They said it was sold out. You can't come in. And we pled with them, and they said, we're going to take 15 more people in. And they escorted these 15 people right up to the very front and let us sit cross-legged in front of the stage. It was just, charmed stuff like that would happen, sometimes when I was with Kitty. And she had a penchant for the outrageous, too, I would say. And there were a number of times where she would tell me some of her tales of conquest, much as male friends talk to each other about their tales of conquest. There was one time, and I will not go into the real detail of it, but Kitty was talking about some punk rocker she snagged up at Club Doobie or something, and he took a shine to her and vice versa, to put it in a Texas framework. And they ended up together, and she was drinking quite heavily, and this guy was kind of, in a way, trying to be real punky with her, And, Kitty won't be outdone, because she's both Irish and Texan, and you just don't out-punk somebody from Texas. And they were getting it on, and all of a sudden, to make a long story short, Kitty got sick. And they were in a particular position at the time where she was able to get sick all over this punk rocker. And she out-punked him. And she just delighted in telling me that one. The last time I saw Kitty was a couple of years ago. I think it was 2002, maybe, or 3. I had a work conference down in San Antonio, and I played hooky from there one day and drove up to Austin and met her at a Mexican restaurant, and she wanted to be my tour guide. She took us to Continental Club where we watched Red Volkert play for 3-4 hours straight, and then she dragged me off to another place where we saw another up-and-coming singer, and we ate great food and just traipsed around. And Kitty was one of those people where you could be away from her for a month or 5 years, 10 years, and it was just like, boom, you're right there, right into it again. Hey, let's do conspiring, co-conspirator. That's how I see her. A lot of her as a co-conspirator. Why don't we? Hey, let's. And we did a lot of stuff that day. But I do remember too that she was in tears when I left, and that was the last time I saw her. But I loved her dearly, and she is. You talk about, where do we come from? How do we become who we are? And people talk about nature and nurture. And I definitely can look at, some parts of the way I look at the world and my interest in music and some of my own irreverence and some of my own politics, and see that a lot of that did come from Kitty. A lot of her influence is definitely, right in my bones. Yeah, that's it.
We got a root. We're going to root. I met Kitty during the VP era, as a lot of people here did, and she was intense, always at the forefront. And the last time I spoke with her was before she went to New Mexico, and I told her that, and I can't remember where I read this or heard this or who said it, that a person is who they are, he or she, by 5 defining moments and 5 defining people. And that's what makes them. And Kitty definitely, and in a communal way with everybody here, because we were kind of sort of this collective brain, so to speak, during that time. And I told her this. I said, I am who I am in part because of you, speaking to Kitty. And that touches on a little bit of what you said. It's a community, and really grateful that I knew her. And that's it.
All right. You talk pretty good for an old guy.
Wait, you want me to talk too?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
I loved her. What can I say? There's nothing else I can say about Kitty. She changed me just like she did the rest of you. Freight train.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we said, go here, let's do this. Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Who else?
Well, I love it.